The other day, I decided I wanted to watch a Disney movie, Tarzan.
For one so small,
And it made me realize something. Disney has some pretty gruesome deaths.
you seem so strong.
So in other words, I thought today would be a good day to scour the internet, Reddit, other articles, and see what other people had to say about the gruesome Disney deaths and even some rankings of what they thought were the least worst to the most worst. Clayton from Tarzan dying, swinging. That's the worst. I'm going to see what other people have to say. CBR's article, CBR.com, is 10 darkest Disney villain deaths in the films. Bill Sykes ran into an oncoming train in Oliver and Company. I don't remember if I've even seen this movie. It sounds like I probably have. That guy looks really familiar. He was driving straight towards an oncoming train. His death was both swift and brutal. 9. Oogie Boogie unraveled and fell apart. Never seen The Nightmare Before Christmas. He was unraveled with no cloth to hold them together. The bugs that made up his body started to leak out, falling into molten liquid and dying. It is an extremely grotesque scene as Oogie slowly started to lose his individuality, his voice splitting amongst all the bugs. Disgusting. Okay. Number 8. DrFacilier, don't know, couldn't repay his debt. So The Princess the Frog, never saw that movie either. It's a little past when I was watching those movies. Number 7 is the hyenas turned on Scar and killed him. The Lion King came out in 1994. After losing a battle between him and Simba, Scar attempted to throw the hyenas under the bus. He used the hyenas to rise to power, so they weren't pleased when they overheard him telling Simba that they were the enemy. The hyenas confronted Scar, and a mixture of horror and realization appeared on his face. Through the shadows, the audience saw that the hyenas jumped on him and presumably ate him in response to his betrayal. Whenever I watch that, it makes me uncomfortable to watch that scene. Number 6. Ursula, the sea witch, was impaled by a ship. I don't know if this is really disturbing. I mean, it kind of is, but it's not as disturbing as the last one. I would say this one, I should say Scar should be ahead of her, but whatever. Mother Gothel's age caught up to her, so entangled. When her hair was cut, she immediately started covering her face and started aging, and then she was tripped and fell out a window. I mean, it's pretty horrifying, but it's not as bad as Scar's. Not as bad as Scar's. The evil stepmother fell to her death. Number 4. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. The Horn King was killed by the Cauldron in the Black Cauldron. Zira fell to her death with a smile. I've never seen The Lion King 2, or if I have, I don't remember it. And then number 1 is Clayton hung himself on the vines. Tarzan, 1999. Despite Tarzan's warnings, Clayton started to haphazardly swing his machete, hacking the vines off of him in a fit of rage. He managed to cut all the vines except the one wrapped around his neck. The last that the audience saw of him was a shadow of his hanging body as lightning flashed in the background. His body was just swinging. So that is probably one of the most disturbing things. I agree with the first one for this one, but I mean, I haven't seen some of these movies, but Mother Gothel and Ursula should not be above Scar. Scar should be closer to the beginning. Now let's see what Reddit has to say. Which Disney/Pixar villain suffered the worst end? Spoiler warning, obviously, if you haven't watched these films. So I haven't watched a lot of Disney films. I don't really care. But I've been watching a lot of Disney and Pixar films with my kid as of late. Hopper from A Bug's Life basically got ripped to shreds by the baby birds while he was alive. Same with Scar by the hyenas in Lion King. I'd probably think Clayton from Tarzan had one of the darkest death scenes in all of Disney films. So 2 of them made it in there that I believe are the worst, and I actually forgot about Hopper from Bug's Life. That was pretty brutal, but he was actually like a big jerk, so... I mean, all the villains are big jerks. Scar got turned into a rug, Syndrome being sucked into a jet engine, and exploding. No capes. Turbo / King Candy and Wreck-It Ralph being slowly pulled into the volcano beam due to being part Cybug, unable to stop himself. I don't know. I don't really find that disturbing. He wasn't really the same as what he was before anyway. He was just like a virus. Clayton being tangled up in the vines. Yep, brutal. John Lasseter. Gaston? I mean, he fell. It wasn't like super brutal. Judge Doom and Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I haven't watched that movie in a long time. That was a good movie. First having his human form being flattened by a steamroller, then standing up as a Nightmare Fuel 2D toon, before being melted by a vat of dip. I forgot about that. That was actually pretty disturbing. Lotso Huggin' Bear from Toy Story 3. So actually, I have a lot to say about Lotso Huggin' Bear, because that is worse than death. He was a pretty bad guy. He'd suffered in his life or whatever, but honestly, that is the worst. Because that garbage man picks him up, smells him, says he smells like strawberries, and then straps him to the front of the garbage truck as like a trophy, like one of the things he caught, and he just puts it on there. That's a horrible life. There's more out there, but that's pretty disturbing. Some of those are pretty disturbing. I would still say, for me personally, Scar from Lion King, number 2, and then Clayton from Tarzan. And then Hopper, since I remember that, is pretty gruesome. And honestly, Lotso Huggin' Bear, that's worse than death for me. Anyway, leave a comment if you guys think of anything that's like even worse. Anyway, that's it.